We have about 40 minutes now for some questions. So if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand or come over here. It's fine either way.
I listened with great interest to the experience of the Khenpo about translating, but I was wondering, the Khenpo stressed how important it is to preserve Tibetan culture, and is doing it, of course. We are trying to do the same in the Western, but in the Western academia. But I was trying to understand what we are doing. Is it right or wrong? Because we are approaching the text from a philological point of view, and we are not, well, most of us are not Dharma practitioners. So when we approach the text, we do it from a secular point of view. And I was trying just to figure it out what the Khenpo's take is on that. Are we doing it right or wrong?
Tandi ngi terang de zhongkyub zenan zhaga shirkyub ka rinni ka rintang zirku nanda chi chu ga tatpa dang chudam zirwa ga wangdu shikame chudam mam zirwa go rinni de la penang tsu wuk yinna wuk chudan wuk rinni niga mzhar ma shibar tawa zita kirwanzhe Devjin the Murg Janga rinni in the Tsoy Nayan Lala Chuda Takar Kamjirano, Lala Chudan Jera Metsayan Yonja, the Gung Tarian Rujung de Tangi Chungchur Gogas, Chungchur Genayan, the Jig Ranker Ta Jimjik Yike Zamzik Dana, Jimjik Sanlo Yona Zamzik America, Tela Jimjik Shi Dana Ti Huerna Chungchu Mashinu Niba Garichand. Tansan Zamulangayna, that's Garik Tariga, Nirvision, the Nashkarik Mons Nupkioka, Television the Murgian Mons than Chegayaka, Tandi Ninka Dana, Tandi Gikanika Sanlota, Teni Chu Musudan say Narano Susunguna, Lincoln's Yonere, T. Lincoln de Idana, that Chunchuk Shava, the Jimjikshina, Tapser and the Guziti, Tapser the Psa, T. Tapser the Zana Zamzanga Marin. Tini Mararan Susuyana, Don Mutuka, the Share, Dripches in Nina, Dangone, take a chambore somewhere.
I am, of course, not talking about preservation of culture, not necessarily from a religious point of view. I'm not saying that one needs to be religious to be able to preserve Tibetan culture or to work towards it. And of course, Tibetan culture is indivisibly interlinked with Tibetan Buddhism. So it's very difficult to separate. But of course, one can work towards it without being religious. But I think one, of course, can work towards it, but I think one can't stop, just say, okay, I'm doing a research, and then think that that is part of the preservation of Tibetan culture. I think it's very important to look into what happens, how many languages and cultures are disappearing and has disappeared in the world. And when that happened, what happened? And then, in order to prevent that, what kind of method, research method or preservation method one can find. And not only the process of investigation into this, but also I think then one should try to personally also sort of contribute towards the preservation, implement it, not just doing a sort of a research and trying to find a method.
Tene ta tensan pöge nangten kanggyuta tinggyula soba sangma keri shembe nalpa gyurdu ore chesa pöbe keba mangbochi da chige keba mangbochi gi de yabushirare sigore yine khachigi ene rangi kegi na yebegi sungrab sangma chila gyushana dege dene che ngejeji yoza gyurtsa gre dene shembe soge pöge da korza bi jang mongobe ne tan chodu zamba and rangi tursa rangi gegi tursa rangi tuba da chikbo reso di kola kunsu kariyonasa. Thank you.
Laso ti tandi trwa de nga tar nga yana yo mombo go ngon nyong Teni the Chushoko lands than Teni Jikten Shokolan in the Pian. Teni Chushoko land of Tani Nataga, Sanjip Jondan Dega, Tachu Shonda Yanina, the Roa, Rismachapa, Lair Katan, Lodon Nojentan. Njoa 탐칙을 갖다 다리 덕친차도 옥송용지 되니 저런디 대지 회나가 그 법박을 코나가 춘데 냠슬은 촉다나 되니 저 잠바가 머르단 디모초 탐칙거도 그 냠슬은 만인제 이다는 상기가 추을 갑나 다리 송은 말에 추도 다리 처 제회저가 처도 셈칭건 통초가전다 아젠 시연의 추도 냠슬랑 초지기 대yok 되니나 추당도 가라서 말에 삼고요 지그래 Tene nisi tariga tan jikting wangdo sheki janzi inena tene zambong ng karsan terang kai inna jaga rigni inna jaga ndu momoz ka tariga koni inna karteti rigni de randang janzi inna tene tam momoz ka tariga to nishi terwa tana devjin de pan tobare karting chu tariga da rijong de yang jik kyondang damba 대전도는 더 지르잖아 저도 먹고 봤다 물론 바진이나 대장가 맞고 익상제시기 잔지나 대 캬추된단 바즈레다 옛나요 직된 쇼공원도 신이나 당아 주고 그르니 따니 하나니 따마트가 vardı 되니 창마드 그는 로아미 릭스 요도 쪽 탐질라 판바 토끼즈 막 토제만 노바 대치즈 메가제고 오늘에 되니 따 돈덕 선바가 타기나 당상도 지 가수 워크 다리가 다 추인 난자가 찌진 난자가 창마라 삼로 하정 그 가로인덕 되니 단정거 제 랍도 슝하다나 랍도 슝아 마임바가 다 탁숨 야침보 요바주 니 타다다리 샤 줍담 줍진바 연게요니나 다지 시첩그 진가리가 따스르 몽보요레다 이나양 텔라다리가 구바마토 제면노 노파요티 마레고 삼주 망제테인라
I have been asked this question several times, so I've come across it, and I gave it. I usually give two answers from two different perspectives, from a dharmic perspective and from a secular perspective. And from a dharmic perspective, Buddhism and Buddha Dharma is advised by Lord Buddha himself to be propagated to all sentient beings, not just to other people and other nationalities, but to all sentient beings, and it should not be barred from anyone. Everyone should have access to it. It's like water. It's like a river that can be that nourishes everyone and all the beings. That is the metaphor for Buddha Dharma. And so, in that case, yes, we need to translate, and there's benefit for translating it. From a secular perspective, we need to ask the question: if we translate, does that benefit other people? Our culture Tibetan culture has an inherent beneficial quality to other people. To my mind, from the ancient times, our culture is such that it benefits other people, other nationalities. So therefore, it's important to translate it. But also, do we have anything to hide? Anything negative to hide? Anything that is detrimental to other people, to the well-being of beings? I don't think so. From the ancient times, we have these beneficial benefits of culture. So if we translate these sort of cultural texts into different languages, then they learn, they come to people, different people come to appreciate our culture. And as they come to appreciate and come to value the beneficial effect of it, then that will inspire more investigation and helps towards preservation. So then many great Tibetan scholars and Tibetans who were inspired by the intention to benefit others have been translating and have been working really hard to translate, to undertake these translations. So I don't think these great scholars and these great beings would dig their own graves.
Kempo, Quadinche, Joki Sunche de la Pe Yahuting Zamo, Re any ngay tiwa di yen di mutuni tanda sungpa nangshin gyunsul ki rinne tang ani thangrab chen ki tserik tang danzo bagne nyambu doya ke ini tapsi khandet thengu rita di nga khatu yene di le samlo dangi yo ini ngone tani langlen khandet ta kare pen iPhone yina kana pui yorba tadi nga sambala ngone tani pento yo tadi double ina kembula ke sung karsa samlo khande gongshi khande do
laso ta de sorgin dan teni tangrap ke jignin da ta maung nirkamna nge sanlo tana teni perna chi mara shia da chi sonya ga ta timoga nesr shongna pe gyobore samgayo cherezena tanguni ga kazanterang tangrap ke chi lakchar dan charing da choyina tang chun zamolong ge roa mi rig chagne tasta ga warda chi ten javin perje shong mamnyong warta ba tangsan chan thombo sa thon re dana yena nga chu sem ge derche kam chonjang samno tana yang zamolong ge ma thamchik ge dngor ge ta nazik de tasta nrzum jong mamnyong warta ba kiryo re tan de tari ge chu de chi nga chu sorgin dana tangrab ni ga cha mamnyim bu samlo nesr anertang chabarchan zre samgeyo teina chi jiman di thada 돈덕 치드 가수 낙출그 런탕的 근데 낙전 몽스 그 따다 시기온 말에 니 런탕的 이화스의 그 시기다는 즉 근데 돈덕 니시다 그 당럽 그 르네다는 당럽 그 넘버야 찍거다 자동만 자가 당선 처차단 생활야 찍거더니 더니 가차다는 그 잠잠 몽스건지 단드추 그 니바시기다 니 더니 돈덕 선바드 치리제네나 당아추 지 셰르 탐케라 때니다나 회나 나글 그냥 마슈르위 당럽 거다리 차는데 위슈시죠다 하장 가르침 버렸삼고 회나 아이폰 산롭 당나야는 띠양 라마 그 도본 가레게는 단디나나 요나 오이기요나 때 인치민치 메게는 또 여보 말해서다 때 잠세요 지 고바마크 당상 ngachu pok lama thamche ke chuchsha na yang chama dan tene da simcher dan te iphone dan dimotsu thamche ke shako ner te ina yang ma choji make dana da zud ji ngachu nachur ge di rentang da nachur ge namba de mani baz de ngibre yang go ina yang te ji ta chi de kola gba ton jone te ji manji baz de re ina yang di nachur ge da rentang dan di teni tati stawa de manim bi wonga te shawa de shiji janzina ta tangsang ina teni ji yang mambu zek teni nachur manim bi ko gane na tangsang ga shawa de yang jibna ta ji natang nyamjir ga tariga lambo chen de la ta perna shaga shwa jandana teni dariga mdan shok nampa chodnara na te ji khang me pan rs genjero ina yang di chad ngi jinz da shirm ngi jinz me ni na ta tangsang nachur nyamju ha jan yen ka che ga nachur nyam so ne na nga chun ro me la de chin jong da mum jong hal che dariga teni gakk chimbo gu kiryo ko sam
I think I don't know, it's difficult to tell that there will be the clash between tradition and modernity, or modern sort of progress and ideas and technology. And if that comes ahead, if there is such a collision, sort of an irreconcilable collision, that will be as something tragic for humanity. That is really something upsetting. I think we can see in this day and at this time period in world history, we can see in terms of technological development, it is unprecedented. We have reached at an incredible level of technological advancement. However, again, in terms of our mental anxieties and depressions and challenges, we also have a huge challenge at that level. So what I sort of would say is that for the young, for the youth, that to be able to, first to be able to appreciate the value of tradition, the beneficial qualities of tradition. And to value this whilst also to see the sort of negative impacts and effects of electronic communication or modern progressive phenomena and sort of electronic distractions, come to aware of it, but then to use modern developments and material advancements and electronic information technology and all the sort of progressive advancements we made in this field, to use that to preserve, use that in a way to preserve the beneficial sides, the beneficial features of tradition. This is in terms of, for even if we use iPhone, some Tibetan lamas, some Tibetan monks regard it, even if it has a Tibetan language inside it, it's a distraction. It's not that beneficial. But I don't think so, because it really, through these electronic forms of media, through iPhone, through the internet, teaching, contemporary teaching is taking place. So there's a way of sort of combining these two in a beneficial way. So trying to find that sort of, discover such a point.
Thank you, Khenpo. So for yourself, who's a Tibetan Buddhist master, spreading Tibetan culture and religion in a predominantly Chinese-speaking world, what kind of challenges do you face inside China when it comes to Tibetan culture and Tibetan Buddhism?
시집고 다 뭐 속바지 내존테 속바데 야차야 담바 드니 지 각각 메비 속바즈도 харнап надан конкретно 메바타브레 сам게요. 드니 гиргингуни용 지 яна 지 тобаг цам тумбузга тэвона таде 지 각각 다나 варчитимоде зэнба мепазгонре татела 양 ранкыр гширдон гамазгене зонте саян тарига 요요콘제 요요콘제다 이나양 호르나 닝우니나 아테니 야납지 추바촐라 그 추 쉐지난 자가 랑것 마인 바고 샤와 강당 강 점나요 좀바 야침보 께요 랑거 지 당보디 엄근던데 다탄키리 용차르네 zonte 티스탕아 요토마도 야차야 데 좀바 께요 이나양 카르텐 점마토나 텔라치 쳇데 양 등을 야침보스근 점바 침보 시금에 좀바 쉐디는 다드 만접송나양 이나양 탕만 있는 샤와데 접티데 역속 레와즈다나 테네 독속 년감 종네 있나 다 찌르때 돈은 쉐기우 수암로데 흥은도 조이고 그 샤와데 직진이 적적 조전요.
Yes, in terms of if it's a group, or regardless of being a group or individual, you come to face challenges, different challenges, and these challenges, when I myself, when I go and teach, I prepare for challenges ahead, and I have a task in hand, and I put my effort, full effort, implementing this task and making sure I put that into practice. And sometimes I face challenges, but this not necessarily upsets me or disrupts me. So what I do is that before I go ahead and commit myself to an undertaking, I sort of prepare for it from a positive angle, but always also plan for the obstacles that lay ahead.
Tu sungchu nya ra ana game tu sna ya tu sra thari nge thwa di na khares na ke di na la ya ke di na so so ge ne de pheje ge khorim da tu ne rimbe sin du ya pheje chin den yo ke di na la ya rinne da dun zo ge da ta di ge chenyi da dun zo ge xie je dun zo ke di na la ya ran xin chin lu ju den yo den de jin za man zu da phe ke da ane dun zo nyam ba chin be na man zu phyre ge da 마음 바디 또 페르네 베치샤 균진체 도바 차샤네 먼저 뱀이 마음 바디다 칸제지 차도 이나스야디 땅아주 초진의 릉네 균진 초니네 벽 미리 스야 디근네 도비야 근데 름번이가네 삼나타베나 아나 칸제지 차고 이나스네 거 근데지 딱 베치샤는 먼저 비게 게이 토네다 인지 토네 낭체 동조 장바다야 벼랑이 비랑 그 토네 낭체 장바디니 케바 칸제지 두고 이나스
라소 가든지 지 남바고 더니 셔동가 가촌포 그 르그네라 데타비 셈커 쉐지도 베만자와 가든지 모르 이나요 땅에 때나 베나 이게 땅아 카르테 다리게 진 마비르 지잔제나 마츠 진등 그 까차샤티 때요 다지 워크 코나 샤근드나 막토 제만나더니 다리가 인지카 땅을 야르끗 tarkajayan tarikatani ajangar kacha mavjana ajangar kacha gargoni tani tang su wok chuyin nanja go shawayin nanja kangchoyin na shadgoni wotam jerioni regne zene zonte tendi kacha gargoni na ya ji yerkatanar yarkatanar kargajamba ga mashidnar gajinara teni ikege karte germani nar kacha gante mashidnar gajinara nitsar dimuzga chayoda samji wo chigdayin teni nisidakina ngachu wok tangala halchi ke semkri yonosga tansan woyer ko tani to lochong momboz ko tani ji work tan woyig nan dimoso lale meshi lale sidan yana te ton dan tsig de zo tamchada dari semkri shedo hajang nyongyen tani ji shulok kuyang dari nashuk ji sachana yono tsuyang ji da rang dari work chat gona ji work zo mashye de na inji dan jamba surka shat de jandana ji wochug nangdon te yana dari work glamne mashi inji la soba ga jang lamne yana ji yohaz mato ikirondi ngachu dari ga work nang chudo 지 너쇼 건문도수 탐측 시기 요는 막도 되면은 어수 오빠 능거지 메시지 년가 하장 첨보스가 nga 샘커 돼요. 근데 양 뒤스다가 나주 오빠수 회 창마드는 더 기르냐는 말은 더 셰냐는 말이지 창마 틈도 있다는 곰바 끝그 능거 인정적지기나 남식가 내ርከ나 오늘 전에 그 다리가 지 끝마다는 니모 그 잼톤 근거는 앞기 용에 그 샴지 막도 되면은 가이 시도하면 난도 시도하면은 워근도 자나 마브지르누 개변가 체낸다 다가 년카가 체내는 니 다다 다가 산로 미란 책당 고지들
yeah, so if we look at if there's this question of should we translate Dharmic teachings in the written form into other languages or not, and then the question of also the question arises that should we actually orally translate these Dharmic teachings or not. So a great complex rises, a huge complex of translation question rises, and the translation, of course, is vital. But the second thing is that there is a definite danger, and it does makes me sort of anxious, is that inside Tibet, as well as Tibetans in the West and more liberal environment, they both tend to be using more and more, even in their spoken language, using other foreign language or their sort of adoptive, the language of the adoptive country. So inside Tibet, there's more and more Chinese are being used in the vocabulary. Outside, more English and other language are being used. And then there is this danger also that Tibetans themselves do not understand or the message of their Dharmic teaching through their own language. So they need to get this through other languages. Yes, that is a challenge. But also through the other language, they do not also get it, because the other language translation, the standard of translation may not be good enough. So in that sense, something is being lost, literally being lost in translation. The message, the Dharmic message is being lost. And so this is a serious challenge. And if we look at some of the books and scriptures that sometimes monks and lamas and Tibetans say, oh, this shouldn't be translated. This is sealed, it's secret. And so secretly hidden away, sealed, some texts are buried, sort of hidden away in monastic chapels and in recesses. And so if this kind of texts maybe a thief or somebody steals it and might end up in a museum or somewhere, but it's not translated, so the message is lost. So yes, that is a big challenge.
We are just going to have one very short last question, and then I think that will bring tonight's teaching to a conclusion.
Thank you very much, Khenpo, for your time and your patience. My question is, would you please explain to me, explain to us, what is the difference between compassion and Buddha nature? And also, I have another question. I hope you can answer in a very brief way, which is in terms of reincarnation. How do you actually approach to the Western audience about this, completely different ideas? I know we talk about it in a kind of a relative truth in Tibetan Buddhism. Thank you very much.
Da Chirizena Zu Shem Yang Jizikinda Shamba the Jan Semchin Dea Dan Son of Sam Yu de Sambasri. Nyanji the Jan Dinger Dom Charson of Samas. The Ne Shanchip Semde the Ne Jan Roa Semchin Tamchet the Ne Namjik and Irkabna Sanji Komon Topson of Sam New the Sherber Zokshan Lamgnadana. Then Council Semchin Tamchet, Dinger Jidam Chep, Charson of Samdio, the Nyanjik Jandon Lamgba. Ta Timu Chabriot, the Nina Sham Nyanji, the Shanchip Sem Giri, the Tab Shanchip Semdo, the Netarium Jevertava, the Niga Chapter, Jim Jertava Chok.
As compassion and Buddhahood are the essence of Mahayana vehicle. And compassion is both the compassion and kindness is the intention, the motivation to the aspiration that other beings be free from suffering and gain happiness. And also the compassion is the cause of Buddhahood. And Buddhahood is the sort of effect, the result of compassion and kindness. And Buddhahood is the benefit, to gaining enlightenment for the well-being of others and affect others to gain also enlightenment.
Tani ta nabshuk jenchigar namshig rizimjana zuo de tani ngzu ngurrimbo chig songni wardu tujur chembo daga jinjig khterton namji khterni ton bateyore ta tena tansang terang ngajro ngi dani tari lopcha chemone khoimzo khangananga yangjig song cherezena daga nirtom chirgulo tani ta yinjigir ka togir tani zama parchir tati nanak sarka chimbo mekadana chirton gibjar chirgulo tari tani chirton gibja nish tsavdanglo tani ta tep tari khwachin zodna te hajang chakchi woz ga sonje ta khwerna ti nangna tani wardogar namjig dana shivir namjig yonje tani ta mo shini daga wardu nyansim jorne jima 땅 수 나초거 갑나 캬버데야나 투줄 거더 찰락다나 양락 다 이게 수능이 있나 데네 더 덴조다나 간조 라속바 데네 출력 잠바에 하장 제사 출력 잠바에 하장 다리가 집물고니나 데네 가수 오지 나탄 거갑나 송오늘이 데니나 데란데네 지 따티초거 나야 제라즈기나 지금 먼저거다 옛나야 지 카르테 모바이오지기나 당이야 다리가 저추레 대전다나 지 쌈추레 tene argent monz kanana te damjero ko tene kacha monz to shetyo te na parcheva to te ramji tariga azgro na
in terms of death and rebirth, which is mostly dealt in Bardo Turul, the enlightened, what the Bardo through hearing, which is the Tibetan Book of Dead, which this morning I had the opportunity to see and was translated into English in 1919, is it? And in 1927, I think it was published. And in there, it has got detailed explanations of death and detailed explanations of the wanderings and roaming in the stage of Bardo towards the conception. And also from different perspectives of religious traditions, it's explained in a detailed way. So today I do not have time to go into detail about this sort of descriptive passages of Bardo Tudo, the Book of the Dead. But if you would like to find more about it, then I could introduce you to some of my works and to texts that elaborate on this.
Thank you everybody for coming this evening. Thank you, Khenpo, very much.